Hi, this is Goich. Welcome to the Doorway to the Word. Well, today's doorway is the brief history of Christianity, Episode 9, the Eastern Orthodox Churches. Well, so far we mainly talked about Western Catholic churches, what happened during the Middle Age period. Well, before we wrapping up this Middle Age period and going into modern era, let's talk about what happened to the Eastern Orthodox churches. So we're going to talk about mainly two biggest factions, the Greek Orthodox Church and the Russian Orthodox Church. And let's see what happened in this period. The Greek Orthodox Church, it covers the area of Eastern Mediterranean, and their main language used was the Greek. That's why it's called Greek Orthodox Church. It began with the separation of the West and the Eastern Roman Empire. We've talked about that, and do you remember the big incident, the schism between the West and Eastern churches happened in 1054. That actually made it obvious, the separation of Catholic Church and Orthodox Church in the East. Well, its center was at the Constantinople, the capital city of Byzantine Empire. And initially, it spread throughout Middle East, the Balkans, and the Russian regions. And all the Orthodox churches at that time were called Greek Orthodox Church until about 10th century when the Slavic independence began to happen. Well, in 1453, let's go a little bit forward in history. 1453, the Ottoman Empire, this Islamic empire, came and captured Constantinople and brought the Byzantine Empire to the end. No more Byzantine Empire. And this under the Ottoman rule, the Greek Orthodox churches, they maintained certain amount of the power and autonomy, because those Ottomans, they tolerated Christians to a certain degree. They allowed Christians to practice their religion. So the Greek Orthodox continued to maintain certain power and autonomy there. Well, in 19th century, the Ottoman Empire was falling into political, economical, and social decay. Their power and authority began to decline. This Ottoman Empire, by the way, it continued until early 20th century. But in 19th century, their power and authority was already began to falling. Well, at that time, that during that period, there was a dispute between Catholic churches in the West and Orthodox churches in the East. What was the cause of this dispute? It was about these two particular churches in Jerusalem. And Catholic Church and Orthodox Church, they both claimed they possessed the right of those two churches in Jerusalem. Well, around that time, the Jerusalem was under the Ottoman rule. So Catholic Church and Orthodox Church, they went to the Sultan, the king of the Ottoman Empire, and asked him to decide who owns the right of those two churches. Well, the Sultan eventually favored the Catholic Church. Well, this decision provoked Orthodox Church, and conflict escalated. And eventually this conflict ended up with Crimean War, which happened in between 1853 and 56. And this war was fought between Russia, which was Orthodox Church, against Ottoman Empire, who were backed by France, Britain, and Sardinia. Such was the extent of this conflict. Well, as I said, the Ottoman Empire went on until early 20th century. And when a certain kind of changed, and political system climate changed, and in early 20th century, the Ottoman Empire persecuted Greeks and Slavic and Armenian Christians. They killed many people. And this persecution went on until the fall of Ottoman Empire, just after First World War. So that's what happened to Greek Orthodox Church around that period. How about Russian Orthodox Church? Well, Russian Orthodox Church, it covers the region of Russia or former Soviet Union, that area, those countries, and Belarus and all those places. And their main language they used was Slavic language. According to the Orthodox Church's tradition, it was founded by the Saint Andrew, the Apostle of Jesus. I don't know whether it's true or not, but according to the tradition, that's what they believe. Well, in 9th century on, the Byzantine Empire, they sent missionaries to all those eastern countries, especially the country called Kievan Rus. Kievan Rus, their capital was Kiev, for modern-day Ukraine. And the Kievan Rus was one of the biggest country in the east at that time, alongside with Poland. Well, in 988, the Prince Vladimir I of Kievan Rus, they converted into Christianity, and the Christianity became the state religion of Kievan Rus. And it went on until the 13th century. During the 13th century and 15th century, what happened was Mongolians, they expanded the empire, they invaded the Europe, and actually they took over the Eastern European region, including Kievan Rus. So Russian Church is now under the rule of Mongolian Empire. The thing was, Mongolian Empire, they are Mongolians, they tolerated those religions of all those territories they invaded. And so Christianity was very much tolerated or even favored, as long as they did not revolt against Mongolians. So Russian Church enjoyed the favored positions. They were free from taxation and they're free from persecution. All they had to do was to pray for the Khan. The Khan is the Mongolian king. Well, around this period, as Kievan Rus fell into the Mongolians, the importance of the Principality of Moscow, the city of Moscow, grew. And the center of political power and the position shifted from Kiev to Moscow. And Moscow grew and became very much the center of religion as well, the center of the church. In 1448, the Russian Orthodox Church separated from Byzantine Empire and became independent church. As the Byzantine Empire fell to Ottomans, the Russian Orthodox Church assumed the great authority over Eastern Orthodox churches and independent state until 1666. What happened in 1666? Well, in 1666, the Russian Orthodox Patriarch, man called Nikon, he was the leader of the Russian Orthodox Church. He attempted to establish the supremacy and primacy over the Russian state. Basically, he tried to establish the churches much more superior than state. Well, of course, the Tsar Alex, the king of Russia at that point, he didn't like it. So he deposed Nikon, the patriarch. Well, in 1721, something major happened. The Emperor Peter I, also known as Peter the Great, he actually abolished the patriarchate completely and made the Russian Church effectively the agents of the government. And he used, and those emperors after, they used the church as a tool to control the Russian people. Well, though they stripped of their independence and authority and power, those clergies, church clergies and bishops and priests, that they enjoyed certain privileges which was given by the government. So the government can use them as a puppet to control people's beliefs and spirituality. And from that relationship, those priests and clergies, they enjoyed this cooperative relationship with the state. Of course, we all know when 20th century comes, the empire, the Russian Empire, the state was facing biggest threat and change, which is the Russian Revolution. And with that, of course, the church, who had a cooperative, very sweet relationship with the empire, the state, they were seen as the enemy of the people by Russian revolutionaries, such as Bolsheviks. So such was the event and progress and work of the Russian Orthodox Church through the Middle Age Europe. Well, things were changing in Europe towards the end of Middle Age, and something big was coming. The dawn of the modern era, with the revolution, reformation, all those things are coming. And people's spirituality were also changing as well. So we're gonna talk about that in the next sessions. But until then, God bless.